Hello and welcome. You're watching FYI. I am Sonal Mehrotra Kapoor. Now, did you know that Indians have become one of the largest group of immigrants, leaving their home country and increasing at an increasingly high rate? More than 18 million Indian people were living outside the country in 2020, and that number now growing at a much higher rate post the pandemic. So much so that the Reserve Bank of India has said that Indian students studying abroad are more than ever before. More than 750,000 Indian students who were reported to be studying in foreign schools in 2018, according to the government data, which means that India now has the second highest number of students learning abroad. We are only behind China. So on FYI today, we try and decode why is that happening. Is this brain drain? Is this disappointment with India's COVID management, or is this something else? Now, we've broken this series into two parts. Today, in part one of the program, we look at the spike of immigration through the lens of students. And tomorrow, in part two, we will look at families looking for citizenship abroad and many NRIs actually wanting to bring their parents abroad permanently as well. That's going to be tomorrow, but on today's program, on why students seem to be wanting to study abroad more and more, and on that, let's get started. We've got for you today 5 reasons why the post-COVID crisis, we are now seeing Indians wanting to choose to study abroad. Let's begin by reason number 1. Most commonly talked about these days is better living and healthcare infrastructure. That is emerging as a key reason. And this is a post-COVID phenomena, of course. The second wave led many to question the healthcare infrastructure in the country. Lack of facilities, healthcare and otherwise have people also made people understand that maybe life abroad would be better. Reason number 2, the ease in visa and travel restriction. And this is key. This is something that had come at a time, not because of the pandemic, but even earlier. Countries like UK, Canada have eased out several restrictions, making it easier for students to pursue a career abroad. Reason number 3 is actually related. And this is not just ease in getting visa, but looking at policies which are more student-friendly now. Reason number 4, and this is a number since is actually 2021. The numbers that we are seeing of students traveling abroad is cumulative because in 2020, remember, many students decided not to apply abroad and pay for an expensive education, which they were forced to do online and being in India anyways. So those pent-up students who perhaps took a gap year or were doing something else in that 1 year, they have also applied this year. And then there is reason number 5, which is simply the demographics. Experts now believe that upper middle class professionals, these are people who migrated to the metros in about the last decade or so and have made major corporate growth. Their kids are now college ready and they want the best for their child and are pushing for education abroad. Alright, so those are the 5 reasons that are broadly being talked about. Having understood that, let's look at some post-pandemic trends that are emerging. And this is a survey that was done by Leverage Edu. They believe in their survey, then they spoke with students, that about 94% more Indian students are keen to study abroad in 2021 compared to 2020. 75% students chose UK as their preferred study destination. 28% students changed their destination choice to UK. So earlier they wanted to go somewhere else, but now shifting focus to United Kingdom. Canada saw 13% takers and US 9%. Now, this is a major shift, remember, because in 2018, we looked at data from that as well. And what we figured there was that earlier, about 1 in 3 students traveling abroad would go to the United States. And that trend is now shifting towards countries like Australia, like Canada, and mostly UK. But now that we've understood destinations, let's look at courses, which are the top choices over there. Management business courses, 35% takers over there. Engineering, 18%. Data science and analytics, that has seen an uptick at 9%, one of the top 3 why people are going abroad and the careers that they want to pursue in those fields. Let's look at now next some country-specific data, and we'll start with the United States. Now, in June 2021, nearly 1.6 lakh Indian students were studying in the United States. And of these, nearly 70% preferred to pursue a master's level degree in United States. But bachelor's level program as well, they are now seeing a significant increase in demand. In fact, in 2021, the number of Indian students in undergraduate programs increased by 30%. And this is in the data earlier available from 2016 or so. So 30% increase in undergrad courses in United States. Let's look at UK next, where new data from UK, and these are government sources there, reveal that 30% increase in the number of undergraduate applications from Indian students who want to study in British universities. Indian students have submitted 9,930 applications so far this year, and we still have 4 months to go, remember, compared to last year when there were about 7,640 applications. The rise is credited to UK's new graduate path, or their immigration policy now, which now allows international students to work in UK for 2 to 3 years after completing their degree as well. Of course, it depends on the nature of program they pick up. This is enough time to make future plans, get a job maybe. In fact, UK and India have come together to sign a migration and mobility partnership, which makes UK far more welcoming to Indian students. The other spike this year has been seen in students wanting to go to Canada. The spike has been seen in their applications as well. And according to official figures shared by the Canadian High Commission in Delhi, they said that Canada saw for the first 4 months of 2021, nearly 1 lakh student permits being issued to students in India. This is up from about 66,000 in the first 4 months of 2020 and 6,000 in the first month of 2019. Now, that should give you a good sense of where students want to go, what is the demand looking like, and some courses they're looking like at as well. Let's take this further with the panel now. We've got Purvi Chathani. She's the founder and managing partner for LawQuest. We have with us Rahul Daha. He is the director and the Graduate Management Admission Council in US. He joins us from there. We also have with us Akshay Chaturvedi.
Hi.
He is the founder and CEO of Leverage Edu. We brought you some data that they had done in their scope and trying to understand, getting more responses from students. And we also have with us Kashyap Matani. He is the co-founder for Yockit. Let me come to Akshay first. Akshay, you've been talking to lots of students, trying to understand which way they are thinking and why. Apart from the reasons that I mentioned, what do you think is the major driving force of students wanting to go abroad?
Sure. I think, thank you so much for having us here tonight, Sonal. I think beyond everything that you said, the reason is also more comprehensive, and I call this the post-Three Idiots phenomenon that has been playing out in India for the longest time, right? Where people are now choosing to do what they're really good at versus just following the herd. And even when you essentially just went by the entire data and you spoke about what courses are popular, right? We are getting into a place where people are saying, if I'm doing something that I'm really good at, I want to be in a country which is the right country for the economic opportunities that come with the profession as well. So, for example, if I'm saying I want to be a great professional in automotive, I need to be in Germany. If I want to be great in, say, fashion, I need to be in Paris, in the capital of fashion across the entire world. If I want to be great at sports management, I need to be in UK or Australia, where I'll get guaranteed internship sort of programs in Chelsea Football Club, ESPN, and the likes of that. So I think that's one larger phenomenon, just focusing on the study part of things. If you move into migration, I think you largely covered all of these things already as well. We are seeing a phase globally right now where countries across the entire world, and US wasn't a part of this list, and US is moving very fast again with Joe Biden coming in and making a change of slew of policies over the last couple of months. We're getting to a place where these countries realize that they need a lot more young people to come in and make big impact in their countries and pay taxes and really kind of kickstart the economy for the respective UK, US, Canada, Australia, all of those as well. And I think that is a larger macro trend which is going to play out for the next 8, 10, 12 years as well. So you will keep seeing this data go up and down. You will have UK rise up, and then you'll have US kind of.
Fascinating what you're saying. So are you almost indicating at a brain drain right now? That people think that there are better opportunities outside of India?
I would say, Sonam, that I won't call this brain drain. My way of looking at it is that we need Indians to go out and conquer the world if we really want to be a global superpower. That is one. Second, I think is there are a couple of things where India is ahead of all things else, right? Like, for example, manufacturing. If I want to do something in manufacturing, I want to be in India. And we as a platform help students go to colleges across the world, and 8% of our students go to India as well. And there are a bunch
Hold
of
that thought, Akshay, because I want to bring in Purvi at this point. Purvi, your quick thoughts on how this is going and why this is happening.
So one of the biggest reasons why students from India are going abroad is because there is a demand for talent abroad from India. If you look at the demographics, the aging demographics of countries, many of these countries that are welcoming immigrants are countries that have an aging population. Even US has an aging population, but the situation is not critical as yet. The other thing that has changed is that countries like Canada and UK have given them more clear avenues to make a permanent life, or at least a long-term life in their host countries. In the United States, they've not been as welcoming, but still the United States continues to be an attractive destination, but is losing its popularity because the path to getting a green card is extremely long. It's extremely long. So if you have to wait between 10 to 100 years based on which time and which estimate you're looking at, if you've got to wait that long for permanent status, it's not attractive. So that's why it is.
So are you saying that majority of students who go out to make a life for themselves? They're not going with the objective of actually getting education and coming back?
So I would say that it depends on the demographics of that student group in India. The affluent children that are going, they're most likely, from our experience, they come back to join the family business. But the students that are going from humbler backgrounds and the ones that are going with student loans definitely want to at least work there until they can pay off their student loans and, if possible, make a permanent life.
And that, I'm assuming, is going to be a larger chunk of students as well compared to those who want to actually come back. Let me bring in Rahul at this point. Rahul joins us from United States right now. He's in Washington, D.C. Rahul, we've also seen this post-pandemic shift, or can I call it post or Trump shift, of students wanting, earlier, like I said, 1 in 3 would be traveling to US, and that trend now shifting.
Yeah, so just echoing on some of the points which have been discussed, there is a shift. There is a shift in terms of positive traction towards the US, actually. And to give you a data point from the survey we conduct at GMAC, 2 out of 5 students are more likely to now consider US with Biden's presidency as compared to Trump's presidency. So we, over years, have been tracking data on international students going abroad, and more specifically, Indian students and their comparison with the other students. So we see this clear upswing where more Indian students are considering to come to the US now, because now there is more positive and welcoming environment, not only from the policy perspective, but also the underlying changes with the coronavirus and how the vaccination process has taken place in the US. So there is more upswing towards the US.
Right. So let me bring in Kashyap now. Kashyap, I have a question coming in from an audience actually. And this is the viewer watching the program right now, Tejendra Pratap Singh. He says, I have completed my master's degree in economics from Delhi School of Economics, very well known, very credible institution. But he says the reason I feel even I would want to go abroad at this point is because of suppression of academic freedom by the current dispensation. This means that I'm more attractive to studying abroad than actually being here in the country. Is that a factor?
Yes, absolutely, Sonali. I think one of the important factors which international universities offers is there's a better education system abroad. They have a credit system. There's a lot of flexibility in the kind of programs that you can choose. There's a good flexibility in terms of what combination of programs you want to choose. So even if you're doing a master's in economics, but you also have a small interest in a separate stream, you can also combine like a majors in economics with a minors in a different program. So that flexibility is really very high in international universities. The Indian education policy, which made some recent changes there, I think that is on lines with getting in track with the international education system now.
Right, but even that policy, a new education minister, all of that is not really holding back students. I have time for a very quick comment, last comment, and I just want to quickly go to Purvi for that. Purvi, do factors like air pollution, do factors like healthcare, do you think at this point are driving factors and making students take decisions? I mean, we all know that healthcare is now a living room conversation.
No, definitely. They do look at healthcare and how they're going to, be in a safer environment. They definitely look at that. But healthcare in all these countries, all the destination countries, comes at a price. It's most expensive in the US and the UK, and in Canada, it is little less expensive. So yes, it is a factor they look at, but I don't think that's the clincher. The clincher in the end is job opportunities and some sense of future planning.
Okay. And the current GDP, is that a factor or not? Well, that's also something that we can look at. But thank you all for joining us on this very fascinating discussion. Like we said, this is only part one. Tomorrow, we sort of deep dive and see what is happening with the adults. Why is it that parents also are now, kids who have been settled abroad, NRIs are calling their parents to settle down with them abroad as well. That and much more coming up tomorrow. But a quick break. On the other side, we've got a special segment, Vaccinate India. Time now for a special camping, Vaccinate India, in partnership with Google, where we take up some questions that all your viewers often Google and have an expert answer them for you. We've got today with us Dr. Kataria, Senior Director, Internal Medicine Department of Medicity, Medanta. Thank you so much for your time, ma'am. My first question to you is about mothers, and should mothers who are lactating, should if somebody, a mother who has COVID-19, first of all, should that mother be breastfeeding?
Yes, that lady who's breastfeeding is allowed to lactate with few precautions. First and foremost, wear a mask when you feed your child and take care of hand hygiene. Wash your hands with soap and water, or you can use a hand sanitizer. But the benefits of continuing to lactate are far more than the risk of transmission to the child. With proper precaution, lactation is allowed and should be continued.
Okay. Which brings me to the next question, actually, which is about antibodies. And this is a phenomena that a lot of us and even experts are still sort of grappling their head around. And this is, will you test positive for antibodies after COVID-19 vaccination? I know in India, we're obsessed with trying to find out how many antibodies we have, and people keep testing several months also at regular intervals to try and see how much antibodies do they have. What do you recommend, and how much do you think, and how soon do you think antibodies really form?
So this is a very, very interesting question, and I can understand everybody, once you give an exam, you want to know how much you scored. So this tendency is always there in the vaccines also. But we must understand it is not a single antibody which is formed after natural infection or even after vaccination. Different vaccines work in a different way, and they form, different kind of antibodies. Some vaccines, which are RNA vaccines only against spike proteins, will make only spike protein antibodies. Whereas there is a whole, virus vaccine, it will form other antibodies as well. So there is no clear-cut answer, and in a resource-limiting setting, it is very difficult to say that, everybody should get their antibodies checked. All said and done, but it is also true that different people react differently. Some do not form very good immune system. They need to then take some alternative protection measures for COVID protection. So I would say, in a situation where resource is not a situation, then after consultation with the physician, you can check your antibody levels, but do not be over concerned, over obsessed with antibodies. If one kind of antibody is not there, you may be forming different kind of antibodies. Maybe, there is a B cell, and then there is a memory cell, T cell. So this is a whole lot of complex mechanism. But to put it simply, get vaccinated, some kind of immunity is developing.
Right. I think what's important, and the message that needs to really go out to people, is that the number that shows, like you said in a test, in your antibody test, the number that comes out, that is by no standard a marker on how much protection you have. It could be saying a spectacular number, but it will sort of, fade away with time. And even if it does not, you must remember that you have different kinds of immunities, like you said, T cells itself, which basically, for the benefit of our viewers, like a memory that your body forms, that next time when a virus attacks, they know how to produce more antibodies. So that is very important for people to understand. But if you were to make a comparison, doctor, of the antibodies that you get with a natural infection versus vaccine-induced, how do you think they weigh?
So nothing is more potent than the natural infection itself. So antibodies formed by natural infection, they last longer. We have done a research study on our healthcare workers for last 1.5 years, and it is proven that natural infection antibodies stay for a longer time. Vaccination antibodies try to come down at a little faster rate. In case of naturally infected people, if they get even single dose of vaccination, the antibodies are rising very, very fast. But as you know, with any infection, the body cannot keep on fighting against one virus. Now we're concerned about COVID-19, but there are hundreds of other bacteria and virus against which the body has to work. So declining antibodies is a natural process against any infection. So the body will remember it, and next time infection or the insult happens, it will increase it. So do not expect that you will continue to have very high antibodies. This is a natural process. I got infected or I got vaccinated, my COVID antibodies are high, then body has to do some other work. It will have to divert its energy to other viruses and bacteria and other lot of natural processes. So this is a natural way of declining antibodies. Don't be sad with declining antibodies, and don't be over enjoying with the high antibody titers.
So antibody is a test that you neither pass or fail. You just get it and that's enough. I think that's the message there. Thank you so much, Doc, for your time.
Thank you.